Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the Monday night edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, in dire need of a haircut, which will be coming on Thursday. I'm very happy about that. And while you stare at my absolutely horrible hair, we got a great show for you tonight. Rich Rounds is here, and we are going to have just a fun time with him from the Cryptic Darkside. We are going to get into UFOs and a lot of sci-fi stuff tonight. It's going to be great. All right, let us say hello to each and every one of you. We have T-Bone in the gold medal position. Kitty Caddywhack with a silver. Mel WD-40 lubing us up with the bronze medal tonight. Thank you, Mel. Don't forget to give yourself a little shot, okay? Just do that for me. Robert Lamoth and Kitty Caddywhack, how are you? Kurt M., nice to see you as we continue on our roll call here. Let's scroll on down. We got Frankie B. We got Mama Catherine. There she is. I love you, my dear. Hope you had a great day. I know you're going to have a great night listening in. You just get cozy and I'll do all the work here, okay? You just get cozy. Road Flare, how you doing? Nice to see you. Luscious Jules and Magnus Verbagnuson. Good to have you both here. Stephanie Kenny Blankenship. Werewolf is here. Werewolf will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Moving on down, we got Race Fan, and we have up next, we have Necessary Dialogue. Good to see you. Missouri Man, thank you for coming on in. Jessica S. Always a pleasure to have you here. Maker of Stuff, nice to see you as we scroll on down on our roll call. Walter Kochabinski, how you doing? Are You Yeti is here. Are You Yeti will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Integrationing, Aussie Boss Tiger, Undead Jed, and Eternity Eternal. Nice to have you all here. Oob to Joe's Main, you've got aliens. Yes, you do. And who else do we got? We got J-Rod. How you doing, my friend? Scrolling on down. F.U. Zaddy. Nice to see you, buddy. Thank you for coming on in. And moving on down, we say hello to Ninja. And Mickey G, thank you for joining us. We scroll on down just a little bit more, just a little bit more. We got James A. Hayes. Welcome to SOR Chat from West Virginia. How you doing? It's one of the only states I've actually been to, West Virginia. I saw the big teacup. I've seen the world's biggest teacup. Yeah, or teapot, pardon me, teapot. So welcome tonight. Mickey G, thank you for the super chat. I know Kitty threw one in there, so we'll give Kitty a little love there, and then we'll go like this. Kitty's usually $1.99, so we'll go like that. And Mickey, thank you. Super chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you very, very much. We scroll on down next, and who do we have? We have Tammy Jackson, everybody. Tammy's new to the chat room. Hello, Tammy. Welcome to SOR Chat. And who is next here? Stargazer. Nice to see you. Crystal Cat, thanks for coming on in. And who is next on our list before we get going? It's Noble Patrick, everybody. It's Noble Patrick. He's from West Virginia, too. That's why we love him around here. All right. Karen in the Woo Train, how you doing? Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we have a great guest tonight. Rich Rounds is here from the Cryptic Darkness podcast. We're going to get to him momentarily. We are in roll call on our YouTube side right now as we say hello to Honest Content and Pam Harris. How you doing, Pam? Nice to see you. All right. Super Chat is open. It is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Hi, Dr. Bob. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our clothing in public and actually be proud to wear it to more places than a garage sale, the paint store, or any place like that. So go get it. It's worth it. Terry Mills, welcome to SOR Chat. Good morning, Skip to my Lou. And for the rest of you, throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears to what's that really happening next. We're together, friends. Oh. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. Go to cariboucon.com for our event, September 18th through 20th. Tickets on sale now. Come join us in the heart of British Columbia. We have a great show tonight. We're going to get a little sci-fi tonight from the Cryptic Darkness podcast. Rich Rounds, is going to join us here momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off. We're going to follow that up with Grant Baker with the UFO report in hour number 3. Let's get right to it because I'm excited about this guest tonight. Rich Rounds isn't your typical paranormal host. While many voices in the alternative media have found their way into broadcasting by chance, Rick's journey into the world of the unexplained is almost destined. As a creator and host of the Cryptic Darkside, Rich brings a lifetime of studying and the human connection and a deep analytical, apparently I can't say analytical tonight, but I'm going to, analytical mindset to every mystery he explores. With a professional background spanning technical support across multiple industries, combined with years of teaching experience, Rich approaches the paranormal phenomena with a very rare balance of logic, curiosity, and open-minded skepticism. Once again, his podcast called The Cryptic Darkside. Rich Rounds, first time on Spaced Out Radio. Glad to have you here. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well, Dave. How are you this evening?
I'm great, man. I'm stumbling and fumbling all over where that usually means I'm pretty excited about my guest tonight. So, we've had a busy few days, my friend, going, starting on Friday with the release of the UFO files, the UFO world pulling out their hair and, absolutely tearing it apart, whether they loved it or they hated it, but before we get into that,
tried to scare all the religious leaders,
right? Before we get into that, what led your journey down this path?
UFOs.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was interested from the time I was a child for whatever reason. I ran across my dad's books. He had UFOs here and now back in the 60s. So like when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I'd snuck and found that book and was like fascinated by it. So then when I was about 18 or 19, I can't remember, my friend and I were sitting out in front of my house in his car, and we saw something and couldn't identify what it was. And it looked like it was about in the valley that we lived in. I lived in Salt Lake at the time. It looked like it was about 20 miles away. So we took off after it. And when we left, it was light. And by the time we got to where we thought it was about 4 o'clock in the morning. And we couldn't figure out why all of a sudden it was the middle of the night. And we never caught up to what it was.
Or it caught up to you.
Hard to say, because yeah, that's the only missing time that I ever have experienced in my life, other than surgeries, which I really dislike.
That's a pretty harrowing experience in your introduction into UFOs, is missing time.
We didn't, well, okay, this is the 70s, okay? We're talking 1979, all right? So, yeah, we'd been partaking, of course, but it wasn't about that, because I mean, we saw what we saw and we started chasing it. And it was it's funny because he's no longer, he passed away back in about 2007, but when you asked either one of us what we were seeing, we both described something different. I told him that I thought I saw, in my mind, it was telling me that I was seeing a helicopter that was pulling an electronic sign, like a scrolling electronic
Yes.
sign behind it, but something had gone wrong and the sign was hanging down from the helicopter and it looked like it was dripping stars down from it, whatever it was. And that was what my mind was telling me what it was, because my mind couldn't figure out what I was seeing. So it was telling me something, oh yeah, that's just this. Yeah, you see those all the time. I've never seen it. I've never seen a helicopter pulling a scrolling electronic sign behind it, but that's what my brain was telling me I was seeing.
What do you think it was?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Literally, it was the spot that it was at. You could drive to from my house easily in 15, 20 minutes. And at that point back in the 70s, it was kind of out in the boonies, but it was still a residential area. But yeah, there's no reason why it would have taken us like 6 hours to get there.
I have had UFO close encounters myself. I've
What did you
never
see?
had missing time. And I am so glad about that. I would say the closest I have been to a UFO happened in 2023. I have an area up here where there's a lot of weird, strange things that happen. And there were 7 of us there. And it was 7:45 at night. We heard something growl from our base camp. And it was one of those deep guttural growls that Bigfoot people talk about. Okay. And we thought, like, we're in my area, my friend, we have grizzly bears, we have black bears. Okay. The
Moose.
black bears are not something to worry about unless it's a mama. Okay. But the
And
grizzly
it's
bears
around.
are something to worry about. And at our base camp, we had like $30,000 worth of camera equipment, all of our food and everything. And so as we are racing back towards our base camp, I see something brown in the trees about 20 yards from me. And it is shaped like the outside of a number 8. And I'm looking, I'm like, okay, what's that brown thing? Okay, it's kind of a crap brown color. Kind of that color when you go to Wendy's and you get one of their awesome malts.
Yeah, it's a frosty.
The frosty malt. Yeah, I mean, it's ugly. It's an ugly color, but damn it, is it good? It was that color. And I'm thinking, what the hell is that? There's no hair on it. There's no nothing. And then I saw on the top left corner, the sun coming down, because it was 7:45 in the evening. But up here, 7:45, where I live, is like in the summer, it's like 5 o'clock anywhere else. Right. and the sun was hitting the top corner, and all the other metal. What colors make brown? It's black, white, yellow, orange, and green. And there was like the way the sun was hitting, it was causing that top color to become all of those different colors.
Like the
And
spectrum.
and I was like, that's metal. That is metal. And I point to it and I say to my team, what the blank is that? And I'm pointing, they can't see it. It's 20 yards away. They're like, what are you looking at? I said, that big brown thing in the trees. What is that? They can't see it. 6 other people. Okay.
But you could see it.
But what they saw, my friend, was they saw movement in the trees. And they saw multiple alien grays walking through the trees. And I could not see them.
See, and I've had too many experiences talking to people, MK Ultra and whatnot, and I'm so suspicious of everything. Missing time in particular, that to me speaks to messing with your head, messing with your memories,
Right.
and aliens. I don't think they do that so much. Government, I wouldn't put it past them. So, it's happened before.
My friend, we're in the middle of the forest. There's no cell phone service. Like, we are 25 miles into the forest and then hang a left to go 3 more miles. We're in the middle of nowhere. There's no cell phone service. There's no electrical towers. There's no military bases, nothing.
Yep.
And the stupid in me goes back every week.
To try and see it again.
Oh, not just that, man. We got a lot of Bigfoot activity and everything there too. So
how far are you from like Banff in that area?
Oh, I'm about 6-7 hours northeast of Banff or northwest of Banff.
Oh, you're way up in the corner.
No, I'm right dead center of the province. I'm kind of in between because you have the Cascade Mountains that run through where you are. And then, if you go over, in your case, it would be going over a state. You have the Rockies.
Yes, correct.
I'm right in between.
You're in the middle. Okay.
I'm right in between. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. I've been up there a couple of different times but not that far up into the province. I mostly was down around Vancouver, and the island.
I started my radio career on the island.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
You know what? Nanaimo cakes. I love the BC ferries. I was in the Navy. All right. I don't necessarily want to be on big giant ships anymore, but I love those small little ships and being on the rivers and those coastal waters up and down in between Seattle and Vancouver aren't that bad anyways. I just love it. I don't know what it is.
Not me, man. I stay as far away from the ocean as I can. I do.
I don't like to be in it anymore. I used to love to swim. I used to love to everything about it. Now I like beachcombing and I like to be in a boat. I'm not a fan of being. I've been caught in riptides before, so it's like that kind of. Oh yeah, no, it was yeah, and I had to follow my dad's advice because he'd done the same thing. And he was a CB back in the day in the Navies. And he told me when he got caught in the riptide, what he did was he sank down to the bottom and stuck his feet into the sand and walked his way up back out of it. And that was the only way he could get against the riptide. So I followed his advice and it got me out.
No way.
Oh man. It was 2 minutes of am I going to be able to make this?
Well, hopefully you weren't in too deep of water.
It doesn't take very much. I mean, I wasn't. I was in maybe 5.5 feet of water. It was.
Oh my.
It was tall enough for me to, if it had been a calm day, I could easily have stuck my nose up out of the water. But no, it was an undercurrent that just pulled my feet right out from under me. It was amazing.
Crap.
I'd never felt that before.
Well, now that the great white sharks are moving up into the British Columbia waters, I'm definitely not going in there. And Sandra here in our audience, she lives on Vancouver Island, and she's like, we have a great white hanging around the coast. Yes, her name is Kara, and she's 16 feet long and would look at me as a meal. So no, Dave is not going back to the island anytime soon.
I think
I just don't do
between
it.
that and anything that might be floating around in there from Fukushima, I'm just not
No,
real anxious to get in the water anymore.
I hear you, my friend. Let's talk some UFOs. What did you think of the release of the UFO files? Were you impressed? Were you happy? Were you blasé? Come see, come saw? What was it?
Kind of a combination of all three, because I open it up, so whoever doesn't know this, you can go to war.gov/UFO, and that's the website, Department of Defense, which is now the Department of War of the United States. So you are going to a United States government website, but it's just a site that says here it starts out with the letter from Donald Trump saying, I'm gonna release this crap. And then as you go down, you've got an index of 158, I think 158 items. And each one is it's presented like a legal exhibit, like you would see in court. So the documents, all of the envelopes that the documents came in with, all of the stamps of the departments that it passed through, and the signatures of all the officials that had eyes on it, and the secret stamps and the release stamps and all that stuff. You've got all that. And so I started going through it, and about the first got through about the first dozen or two that were the very, very earliest ones. And I thought they were really interesting from like a historical perspective, seeing things that Herbert Hoover, not Herbert Hoover, but the guy that was J. Edgar had actually physically signed and laid eyes on, and a lot of it was just them just denying things like, well, the FBI doesn't necessarily look into UFOs generally, blah, 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 blah. But it was very interesting historically. But I wanted to see more evidence. So like I skipped forward into the documents. I think there's like 18 total little links you can click on down at the bottom. And literally from link 9 through, I believe, 13 or 14, those are all videos. And I did manage to go in. I tried to read some of the documents, the current documents. Most of them were releases from the Department of Defense. A lot of this stuff came out of Iraq and Afghanistan
I
and
noticed that.
Syria. And so, it just means that this was recordings from our military. That's why you saw in all of the corners, everything was blacked out, because they don't want you to see the telemetry so that you could go, oh, that's an A-10. Oh, that came from an F-35. They take all that stuff out so that they don't know how good our stuff is, how good
Right.
that intel that the pilot's getting a heads up. So, but the vast majority of those videos that I saw were little white dots, and in fact, some of them, quite a few of them, those little white dots weren't moving that fast. I mean, when you think about how far away something is, and the fact that most of those cameras were thermal cameras, all it means is that could have been a little small hot engine. Like, do you remember the little gas powered planes we used to do? The engines, you put the gas in and you had to crank it up, and the electric, that would be enough heat from that tiny of an engine for it to register as that little white dot moving across that thermal cam. And it wasn't moving that fast. The ones that I saw weren't moving that fast. Now, the ones that were out there over the ocean that are doing those weird stopping and going, making right turns and or just kind of meandering, wandering around, those are kind of interesting just because they're not close to the shore. So it's not someone sitting out there radio controlled with whatever, those were interesting, but there was only I'd say about half a dozen of those videos out of all of those videos. And there's got to be 50 or 60 of them up there. But there were a few that were extremely interesting that I think, in my opinion, were ours. They were our military, United States government military. And it's just, they're playing them off as, look at this UFO. Isn't that amazing?
Here's the thing I don't like about it. Okay. I like the fact that they released videos.
Yes.
Explain to me why any of those videos is classified,
Exactly. Well,
right?
I think the problem is this is all that they've given us. Okay. I think they went and they took X number 10,000 pieces of evidence that they had, and they tried to find the, literally the least important ones that they could release. Like, oh, that's a good one. Yeah, there's another white dot. Release that one. Yep, do that one. Nope, that's definitely ours. You can tell that's ours. We're not letting that one out. You know, I just got a feeling
Absolutely.
because I mean,
Absolutely.
there was just too many years where the whole investigation by our government of UFOs was literally a cover up for secret military projects.
Absolutely.
So why would this be any different? You know?
Here's the thing, too. These aircraft, whether you're flying a 45-year-old F-15 or F-16, or you're flying a fifth generation jet fighter like the F-35 or the F-22, their cameras are so pinpoint,
Oh, no.
okay, that you have to literally dumb these videos down in order to make them look like a 1950s television set with rabbit ears.
I would guess that none of the videos that I saw there were any newer than 10 years. I don't think they're showing us any of the they didn't even show us any of the newest stuff, because it would reveal, just like you're saying. I mean, they would have to go through and filter it and just to make it look stupid, to make it look bad.
Yeah.
Kind of like they did with the videos from the moon. They
Right.
they deliberately made those videos from the moon look bad because they didn't want to let the Russians know the quality of the cameras that we had for surveillance.
The
How
silly
stupid is
part about it
how
is
stupid is that?
the silly part about it is when they're showing off their war propaganda, whether it's in the Middle East somewhere or wherever it may be, those videos are crystal clear in 4K resolution minimum. Okay, and you're getting a bird's eye view, so that way they can crank out the USA chants. No
Oh yeah,
offense, no
yeah,
offense to
no,
anybody who served. God bless you if you have. Okay, but the point that I'm getting at is the video quality.
yep.
If you're targeting a military base in Iran right now, that video footage is incredible. And,
Well, and
and yet when it comes to a UFO, old Grandpa Sawyer flying around with a handheld camera in his P-51 Mustang is taking that video.
yeah, it's pretty rough. But I mean, the other thing to remember too, though, a lot of that surveillance video that you're seeing is literally being taken from a command and control plane that is 3 miles up, and it's zeroing in on those buildings that you're seeing. So when you think about that it's a moving plane and it's zeroing in on that target, and it looks that good from that distance, to where they can pick out individual guys and go, yep, I see that guy underneath the truck. Yep, you got him lined up. Yep, let her rip. That's pretty impressive. I mean, you only get higher resolution than that with spy satellites.
We got about a minute to go here before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. And our good friend Rich Rounds is here talking some UFOs with us. Rich, in the next half hour, I want to get into what you liked about this. Okay, it's so easy to nitpick the videos, the blacked out, redacted forms that they put out. Okay, what they didn't cover in Roswell or crash retrievals or alien bodies. They didn't get into any of that. But there was some good in this, and I want to get into yours. I'll get into mine, and we're going to have some fun in the next half hour here on Spaced Out Radio. From the Cryptic Darkness podcast, we have host and a great guy, Rich Rounds, here with us. We're going to continue talking about the UFO files. Why? Well, that's kind of an important topic for what we do on this show on Spaced Out Radio. So sit back, relax, get comfy. We'll be right back. All right, we're clear. So just a reminder to you that during the breaks, our podcast and YouTube audience can hear us.
Okay.
So, yeah. And if you need
But
to step away for a bathroom break or anything, I'll take you out. I'll take you out for a couple minutes here.
Cool. All right. But the video's still rolling, correct?
Yeah.
So the YouTube can see the video.
Yeah.
Cool. Hi guys. I normally I have a face made for radio, so that's why I do
Dude,
my
so do
show.
I. Don't feel bad about it. Don't feel bad about it. I'm right here with you. And it ain't pretty. All right.
Well, as long as we can keep the pipes going, you know.
Quick hello to Trucker Andrew, Jose Sanchez. Thank you for coming on in. Bobbert, good to see you. I think we're caught up. Yeah, we're caught up. We're caught up. All right. Fap Nuts, how you doing tonight? My favorite fan. Hi, Dave. Looking gross. Surprise, Mrs. Dave lets you. I don't know what that means, but Fap, you are highly unattractive and you have 6 toes on each foot. And they're webbed feet. Mm-hmm. Never trust a Dodgers fan. Good times here, people. Good times. Let's see here. What else we got going on? Hey, Rich, he's looking all happy and healthy around here.
It's my dog.
Where's your dog?
He's actually sitting down here at my feet. Hang on a second.
Oh, nice. Kmart, how you doing, man? Where is he? Oh, there he is. Where is
Kiva,
he?
say hi. Kiva, say
There he
hi.
is. Cute.
The cat's up there on the bed too. They're all interested in what I'm doing.
My dog, who's a 4-pound Chihuahua, could not give 2 shits about whether or not I'm breathing or not. He's a mama's dog.
These guys, they fight over me. So, you know, if I pay attention to one, the other one comes running up like, oh, hey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He keeps me walking.
Well, that's good.
Keeps me in shape. Yeah.
Kmart, thank you for that super chat. That's our blue light special right there.
Ding, ding, ding.
We got about
ding.
2 minutes.
Outstanding. I think I might go grab a couple ice cubes. I'll be right back.
All right, not a problem. Put you in the background till he comes back. Simply Coco, how are you, my friend? What's the drink of choice for tonight? Please let us know. It's always important. And I'm going to find a... Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to find something here. Is it here? Oh, well, we'll try and find it here. Let's bring Rich back in. Thank you tonight to Mickey, to Kitty, to What in Tarnation and Kmart for the super chats. Bucky, how you doing, my friend? Nice to see you. If you haven't already, guys, do us a favor. It helps with the algorithms. Give us a thumbs up. We'd appreciate it. The number one fan of SOR, the Weird Desk, Nicole Sackage. How are you? Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. UFO talk with our guest, Rich Rounds from the Cryptic Darkness podcast. We'll get to him momentarily. But first, we want to say to all of you listening in, you know our archives are free. They're always free. Why are they free? Because I want them that way. We pay for too much. Life is too expensive. So the only thing I ask for in return is hit subscribe on YouTube, hit follow on Spotify, iTunes, or any major podcast network. I think it's a good trade. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Rich Rounds from the Cryptic Darkness podcast. We're talking UFOs. It's easy to rip apart, Rich, what we have seen, what we didn't like, because as humans, we are negative before we are positive. And especially in this field, we want answers. We want bodies. We want the president to stand at the podium in front of the White House and say, ladies and gentlemen, we are not alone in the universe. We want those crash retrievals. We want to know if Bob Lazar is real, if Eisenhower traded humans for technology. And we didn't get any of that. But what did you like about the release of the UFO files?
I got to say, my favorite thing was the old 1950s UFO Club newsletters. Just going through and reading these, these little conventions that were going on back then. It was amazing. They were only in there because there was like one or two sentences in it that some middle-aged woman had written in saying, I think these might be communists here, so you need to check these guys out. So it was part of this documentation, and you'll find that in just the first couple of documents that's there on the first page of list of things there. But those were seeing those old historical documents were fascinating for me. And honestly, there were a couple of the photos that were in there that I found interesting. I thought they, just from my eye as a photographer, I couldn't, and from the period that it was coming from, yeah, it's not AI. It wasn't faked, and it was something, and it wasn't a pie tin or a hubcap that got thrown up in the air. Those were kind of fascinating to me. And the videos that I think were quite obviously our technology and not UFOs, those were fascinating to me, just being able to see those.
My favorite part, for years, I had been yelling, screaming from the top of the British Columbia mountains here. When is somebody going to hold NASA accountable? And finally, it reminds me of going back to Bill Nelson when he was the director of NASA a few years ago with his southern drawl. I'm really interested in these UAPs, and going on saying, I've seen these naval pilots talking about this stuff, and that's really interesting. And I'm screaming at my television saying, Bill, check your closet. Bill, you're the head of NASA. Check your closet. And then they go and do this absolutely useless waste of $100,000 study where all the scientists, after they'd done their study and they go for their press conference, they're all laughing and snickering. No, we didn't find anything. There's no aliens hiding at a Cape Canaveral or anything. And we all knew We all knew because the transcriptions have been out for a long time. And this just confirmed that NASA has been lying to the American public about what their own astronauts and test pilots have been seeing, especially the report on Apollo 17 and Gene Cernan, what he was reporting about these flashing lights that weren't ice crystals.
Yeah, it looks like it. What did he say? It looks like a carnival out here, something like that along those lines. And why did NASA have to employ so many photographic retouchers? Why
Right?
are all the skies in the photos from the moon? Yeah, no, I get that the reflective surface of the moon is so bright that it would blot out any simple stars out there, but not black, not blacked out. And in some cases they've gone in and they've looked at it and you can tell that the photograph had been redacted. And here these few that they put out with these blurry little white blobs, you know, I from the just the few conversations that we have transcripts of from the astronauts that got leaked on the wrong channels saying, wow,
Absolutely.
yeah, you know, look at all these, oh, wow, quite the show today. You know, they were obviously seeing a lot more than they're showing us.
And not just that, but the first real true heroes outside of John Glenn were Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. And for years, they denied seeing anything up there. And now we're learning that wasn't true.
But they looked very uncomfortable doing it. Did you notice how many of those guys coming back looked so uncomfortable? I mean, and it wasn't a matter of having a hard time coming back to the planet. I think it was just that they'd been so clamped down by who? You know, by the military, by the government, by NASA itself. Who knows? You know, but obviously someone had gotten to them in the back room and said, "Okay, here's the deal. This is what you get to say." And they just kind of looked.
They
They
were
looked
disheveled.
uncomfortable. They looked uncomfortable.
Yes,
You
they
know?
did. They did. But I think it also goes to show because so many American people have had this love affair with NASA
Oh,
because of the, I mean, let's face it, the final frontier is space. And to be able to send brave men and women up there, I don't know. I mean, we can all talk tough and say, yeah, I would want a rocket stronger than a nuclear weapon launching me up into space that could explode at any time if one paint chip falls off. Okay. I don't know if I would want that pressure. I'm a little too chicken for things like that. Okay. But
maybe when I was younger and dumber.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
but if you're our age, that means that when you were like 8, 9, 10 years old, man, it was all about us going to the moon. And it was fascinating, you know? And then for whatever reason, within 5 years, it was a big so what? Nobody was watching it, nobody cared. And boy, didn't take long for the Senate and the House of Representatives to go, okay, we'll just cut off the funding. We don't need to do this stuff anymore. Why was that?
well, I mean, if you listen to Gene Cernan, the people that he's talked to, allegedly he got a message that said, "Don't come back. No, you're not welcome
It,
here."
it kind of feels like that. That uh, okay. Something that wasn't released as far as this UFO release, but did come out recently about the Artemis flyby was the interesting flashes of lights that they were seeing on the dark side of the moon. Did you see any of that
I
video?
have not heard that. I suspected it, but I had not heard that. Tell
I
us about
I couldn't even find it today. I saw it. I know that I watched it, and I went trying to search for it today, and I could not find it. I couldn't find any of the flyby pictures of Artemis mission yet. I don't know if they're holding back on them or what.
I'm wondering if it's because of what's going on right now.
Hard to say. Hard to say. I mean, I mean, you have to understand the only reason we're going up there is because the Chinese are going up there. And it's just like back in the day when we were going to beat the Russians. We weren't going to let the Russians get up there before us. You know, so That's what this entire thing is about. I think they're afraid that the Chinese are going to get up there and start staking flags out. This part is ours. This part is ours. This part is ours. Yeah, because there are things that can be mined and exploited up there. I guess the helium-3 is the big one.
I want to read this for you and for our audience. Now, this is from the release of the Apollo 11 transcripts and you can read it for yourself. It's war.gov/UFO. The website, once again, war.gov/UFO. So it is on page 15 of the 17 pages, 15 or 16. And this is the transcripts from, the three heroes: Neil Armstrong, we have Buzz Aldrin, and of course, Collins was in the LEM. So Aldrin says, the first unusual thing that we saw, I guess, was day one out or something pretty close to the moon. It had a sizable dimension to it. So we put the monocular on it. Collins, how did we see this thing? Did we just look out the window and there it was? Aldrin, yes. And we weren't sure, but what it might be is the SIVB, which called the ground, and we're told the SIVB was 6,000 miles away. We had a problem with this high gain about this time, didn't we? Collins, there was something. We felt a bump, or maybe I just imagined it. Armstrong, he was wondering whether the mesa had come off. Collins, I don't guess we felt anything. Aldrin, of course, we were all seeing all sorts of little objects going by at various dumps, and then we happened to see this one brighter object going by. We couldn't think of anything else it could be other than the SIVB. We looked at it through the monocular, and it seemed to have a bit of a shape of an L shape to it. Armstrong, like an open suitcase. Aldrin, we were in PTC at the time, so each one of us had a chance to take a look at this, and it certainly seemed to be within our vicinity and of a very sizable dimension. I mean, they're talking about being trailed by a UFO here, Rich.
Yeah, and the part that they're comparing it to is the actual part of the Saturn V rocket that contained the LEM, that whole section that opened up that the LEM came out of. That's the section that came off and was discarded. That's what the ground control was telling them. No, that's 6,000 miles away. There's no way that's what you're seeing. So they were telling them, nope, that ain't it. It may be that big, but that ain't it.
So Neil Armstrong goes on to say, and remember, they always said, and Buzz Aldrin, remember when he punched the guy who said they didn't go to the moon?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Buzz Aldrin was a very shifty fellow, and he didn't like talking about aliens. And he was always like, no, we didn't see anything. That's all garbage. Well, prove us wrong now, Buzz. Yeah. Armstrong goes on to say, we should say that it was right at the limit of the resolution of the eye. It was very difficult to tell just what shape it was, and there was no way to tell the size without knowing the range, or the range without knowing the size. Aldrin, so then I got down into the LEB or the LEB and started looking for it in the optics. We were grossly misled because with the sextant off focus, what we saw appeared to be a cylinder. Armstrong, or really two rings. Aldrin, yes. Armstrong, two rings connected. Collins, no, it looked like a hollow cylinder to me. It didn't look like two connected rings. You could see this thing tumbling, and when it came around end on, you could look right down into its guts. It was like a hollow cylinder, but then you could change the focus on the sextant, and it would be replaced by this open book shape. It was really weird. Aldrin says, I guess there's not too much more to say about it other than it wasn't a cylinder. I mean, like you said, with your encounter, okay, where you were seeing a helicopter looking like it's carrying a lighted rope on it, They're seeing 3 different things from 3 different people in a lem about the size of my SOR studio here, and they're taking turns.
Smaller.
Yeah,
Literally,
probably smaller.
the space inside what those guys were crammed into was like the front seat of a Chevy Durango.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I bet, but yeah, obviously they saw something, that, but again, like you said, um, when the way we perceive things as human beings is our brains all through our lives catalog things, and we kind of have like a Rolodex file in our head. So when we look at things, there's a reason for this too. So that when we look at things, our brain will go, okay, that's a boom, and pick the card out of the Rolodex file and say that's what this is. Okay. Now, the reason that happens and why sometimes you'll do a double take because you think you saw something, but then you go and look carefully at it and realize it was something completely different. The reason that happens is because we get bombarded by so many points of data and input during the course of the day that if our brain allowed us to actually concentrate on every single piece of that input, we would go nuts. We would have sensoria. We wouldn't be able to handle it. So
Mhm.
what our brain does is it filters stuff. It puts tags and things. That's a cup. That's a speaker. That's a phone. That's, and it just puts a label on it for you, and it pulls up that easy card in your head. And I think that's what's happening when people are seeing something that they literally have they have nothing in their frame of reference to compare it to. It's something that they can't explain. So their brain picks something out of the card file and says, this is what that is. Like my brain said, this was a helicopter with that thing dangling from it. My buddy saw a light with sparks coming down from it. He saw something completely different from what I saw. So, but I think it was just because when you're faced with something that you just literally you can't explain, your brain just kind of fizzes out and just picks something out for you. Okay, it was this, it's that, or somebody else went in and went, this is what you saw. No, you didn't see that. This is what you saw.
Good friend of this show, movie director Darcy Weir, actually, a few years ago, I did a bunch of voiceover work for one of his films that's just been released. And he called me up today and he said that, hey, remember that film we worked on about NASA a couple of years ago when you did the voiceover work? I said, yes. And he goes, I'm putting on a collaboration with you. So he's allowed Spaced Out Radio listeners to actually go onto our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio, and watch this movie that will be on a couple of television networks, not like Netflix. Let me find out.
Like Tubi and things like
places
Netflix.
like that will be able to see this work. But he's allowing Spaced Out Radio listeners to watch it for free. So if you go on our YouTube site, we are collaborating with Occult Journeys to see this, and it's called NASA: The First Missions, and it has a bunch of these transcripts from the astronauts to the test pilots of the X-15 and others. So I highly suggest, I put the link in our YouTube chat room if you want to check it on out, and I'll put it up on the screen if anybody wants to grab it, and you can actually go check it out for yourself. And if you recognize the voice, that's me. That's me. So make sure you do that. All right. Just your thoughts overall about, how we are starting to see all of these areas kind of come together and now being forced to talk about the UFO issue, when just a few years ago, Rich, people would still be laughing at this topic.
Oh yeah, I mean, even back in the days of X-Files, we all a bunch of nutcases and conspiracy theorists if we watched stuff like that, and now, well, it turns out all that stuff we were conspiracy theories about, they weren't theories, it was real. So, and I can't help but feel that this is just a giant psyop. Like we're just being led down a garden path with this whole thing. The way it's being leaked out, the way it's being hyped up, kind of like the way they do everything. Once a month, it's a different thing that they're hyping up and deciding that the world's going to end over. So, and this just strikes me so much as like just another psyop. I don't know what they're buttering us up for. Obviously, I really don't believe that anybody at, at this point, with the way AI is, where you can't believe anything that you see anymore. I can't imagine that anything as simple minded as like a Project Bluebeam would ever go over. I don't think anybody's going to fall for anything like that. Even with the most sophisticated drones and equipment that you have to dazzle people with, I don't think people are going to fall for some kind of mass invasion type of scenario. But they're obviously buttering us up for something. They're getting ready to do something, and they're making sure that we're prepped up for it. That whole thing about sending out the messages to the pastors and to the heads of the churches and telling them, you need to get your people ready for this. Ready for what? There wasn't anything in there that was going to threaten anybody's theology. I didn't see it anyway.
Let's go down that road. Let's go down the road of this being a psyop, because there are a lot of people from Dr. Stephen Greer on down who have really thought that this is going to be a psyop. That, even Jeremy Corbell saying, look, when they tell us about the big mothership that's on its way, you'll know that this is the false flag that we've warned you about. Okay, we see a lot of these psyop type of operations happening. I mean, it comes on the heels of all of those scientists that are either missing or disappearing or have died in mysterious ways. I mean, it all seems to culminate with together, doesn't it?
Here's another one. Beat that. Let's join this in with the Mandela effect as well. I swear, I watched a movie, and I think it was from the BBC, that was about these scientists all disappearing, but they were being disappeared for a reason, and it was this huge government plot, and they were because there was something coming. There was some kind of huge catastrophic thing coming, and the government was gathering all these scientists together, but they were making them appear like they had died or under mysterious circumstances or whatever. And I, for the life of me, cannot find that. I know I didn't make it up. And I've looked and looked, because all of this stuff that's going on right now, I was like, isn't that interesting? That just reminds me of that movie, and I cannot find it. I have searched, and I know how to really parse searches, and I cannot find that movie. I don't even know if it exists.
Do you think then, in this alleged psyop, that this is more about trying to hide U.S. technology over actual alien contact?
100%. I think that even the stuff that we have seen, like, I hate to say it, but every time we go out and do something with our military, it's literally us just going out and getting rid of our old stuff. Okay. We go out and we fire off all our old ammunition. We fire off all our old missiles. I was in the Navy. I watched us do it. That's what we do. We go out when we practice, we fire off all the old stuff. And when they go out and they do these big, huge forays, they're firing off all the old stuff. I think we've got technology that's probably 20, 30 years beyond anything that we've seen.
Minimum.
Like even my friend Tally, who I produce her show, she has seen the Dark Star fly over. And she's in between military bases up in Washington, and some interesting things fly over her area all the time. And she saw it, and it just was gone. The SR, I guess it's the SR-72.
Yes.
And it,
yeah. Hold that thought, Rick. Hold that thought. We're going to go to break here. Spaced Out Radio, 1 hour down, 2 hours to go. We got one more hour with a great guest tonight, Rich Rounds from the Cryptic Darkside podcast. Make sure you go hit subscribe. and give that a thumbs up as well. We'll be right back. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Rich, we are going to take a quick break here.
Outstanding.
For about 5.5 minutes. We're just going to put a video on, okay?
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and take a bathroom break real quick.
All right.
Our merch is Bigfoot approved. We have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have hoodies, we have socks, we have hats, we have stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can buy Spaced Out Radio merch and look the part? Our merch ain't ugly, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Lurking within the forested region of the 108-mile ranch, where the worlds of the normal and paranormal collide. CaribouCon is waiting for you, bringing together a panel of renowned experts in the paranormal, cryptid research, and UFO phenomena fields. Get ready for a spine-tingling weekend in the heart of British Columbia. Enjoy fascinating discussions, presentations, tours of local haunted areas, and skywatching. Learn from investigators, authors, and enthusiasts who explore everything from ghost hunting techniques to sightings of Sasquatch and beyond. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal researcher or just love a good spooky story, this is your chance to connect with fellow enthusiasts in one of BC's most mysterious areas. Tickets are on sale now. Grab yours before they're gone. Visit cariboucon.com for details, tickets, and updates.
Are you ready to dive into the weird and wonderful world of cryptids, cartoons, and chaos? Meet Dirty Filth, Spaced Out Radio's resident cartoonist and master of the mysterious. Every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific, join him live on the Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel for Cryptid Cartoons with Dirty Filth, a hilarious hour where he sketches bizarre beasts, shares mind-bending stories, and battles his mischievous cats. Whether you're a UFO enthusiast, paranormal fan, or just love quirky art, Dirty Filth filters the universe through his unique lens, creating cartoons that capture the strange, dark, and supernatural. Follow Dirty Filth on X at Filth1 or Facebook at Dear Filth for more filthy fun. Find his link in the description below.
Spaced Out Radio wants to hear from you. We love our community, and your voice truly matters. Drop a comment after every show and let us know what you thought. Agree with our guests? Tell us why. Disagree? We want to hear that too. We read every single comment. Jump into the live chat during the broadcast and be part of the conversation in real time. Got a killer topic idea? Your suggestions help shape the show. And if you want to take it even further, join our Patreon for bonus content and direct feedback opportunities with Dave and the team. This is your show as much as it is ours. Whether you're a longtime listener or brand new, we want your thoughts, your questions, and your ideas. And let's keep building this incredible community together. Spaced Out Radio, where the conversation never ends. What are you waiting for? We're listening.
With 5 explorable Gold Rush-era buildings said to be home to spirits of a time forgotten. The 108-mile heritage site in the heart of BC's Caribou region offers a unique opportunity for thrill seekers and history buffs. For an evening of historical fun, step into our guided ghost tours, where spine-chilling stories of gold rush legends and unexplained encounters come alive. For those craving even more, inquire with us about conducting a hands-on paranormal investigation of your own. And if you're truly brave, book our haunted sleepovers. Spend the night at our B&B inside the McNeil House to truly experience this historical landmark and its ghostly secrets firsthand. For booking or inquiries, go to haunted108.com.
Yes, check it on out. Newest tourist attraction in my area of 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Come to see and live Haunted 108. It's pretty cool, everybody. Pretty cool. Big thank you to Kitty Cattywack, Mickey, What in Tarnation, and Kmart for our super chats tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Free Your Mind, how you doing? Nice to see you. Tim Mothman and your goatee, two separate entities. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't already on YouTube, hit thumbs up. We really appreciate it. Jeff Steve Garvey is here. He'll hit a home run for you. And here we go, everybody. We are into hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Our guest, Rich Rounds, from the Cryptic Darkness podcast, will be here momentarily. But first, I want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Jeremiad is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring in our guest, Rich Rounds. He is talking UFOs with us tonight, the UFO files and everything in between. His podcast is called The Cryptic Darkness, which you can find online. And Rich, we're so glad to have you here. Hope you're having fun with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Right before the break, you were telling the story about UFOs and the files and the kind of the denials that people are having regarding this. In the positive aspect of everything, you did say that you liked a lot of the older files, but one of the things we did not see, Rich, we didn't see anything on Roswell, which we were hoping. We didn't see anything on Kecksburg or Kingman or any other UFO crash retrieval. You know, were you surprised by that?
Not necessarily surprised, but disappointed. You know, I mean, I was hoping the closest we got was a couple of, well, anyway, I haven't been able to see every single one of those because a lot of those, some of those exhibits have 20, 30 pages to them, and each one is a PDF. And like I said, you know, there's got to be 100 that are just documents and maybe 50 or 60 that are the videos and pictures. Yeah, the ones that I could take a look at, I just, I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way. What can I say? You know, it's like, we didn't get nothing about Kecksburg, nothing about any of the silos that have been shut down, nothing about what happened over in England on our base, you know. None of that stuff was in there. The closest thing that I saw was there was one report or a couple of reports done by, they just said that they were FBI, somebody working for the FBI. That was it. You know, they were federal and, you know, everything was blacked out, but they described the red orbs. That was the closest I saw. And, you know, yeah, what wasn't there was a lot more that wasn't there than what was there. And like you said, a whole lot of this stuff we already knew about. We'd seen these transcripts before. These are just the fully, you know, um, some of them weren't even unredacted. There were a whole bunch of the newer ones that were very much redacted. A lot of the information was redacted on them.
Well, here's one of the things that I noticed about it, and we do have to, remind our fans and listeners. This is only part one.
Oh, sure.
This is drop number one. There are more drops coming. There could be a drop later this week of the 46 videos that Anna Paulina Luna had said. It might happen next week. Okay. They're going to be dropping this stuff every so often on the website war.gov/UFO. So I understand you can't release everything at once, but realistically, I think you're right. It wasn't anything jaw dropping. The UFO community knew a lot of this. However, there is a giant majority of public that is very naive to this subject. If you all of a sudden look at this and you're kind of on the fence, you've heard it on the news, maybe you read it in a magazine or the New York Times back in 2017, and you're like, oh, this stuff might be real. I think it is a real eye opener to a lot of people of the secrets that have been being covered up.
And that may be exactly what this is. This is just a way of spoon feeding it to the general public, not to us, not to those of us that have been into this for 50 years. No, this isn't to us. This is to the general public, to Joe Schmo out there that UFOs, that's on The Simpsons, but yeah, that's what this is for. This is to legitimize it. I think you're absolutely right. And who knows, maybe the next couple of releases, maybe it gets bigger and better as they drop stuff. I mean, wouldn't that be nice? But I just got a feeling it's going to be more of these blurry pictures and moving white dots and I have little faith with the way that they have treated this subject in the past, in particular our government, and the way they've treated the people trying to report these things. I just have no faith that they're at this point, they're going to go, okay, you got us. I'm sorry. We've been lying to you all this time. Here it is. Sorry. Here's the bodies. This is what they look like. This is how many we got. Check out these ships. Aren't these ships cool? Yeah. I don't think we're ever going to get that.
The other thing that I noticed, I'm curious to get your opinion on, because one of the things that I have been steadfast on, and some of my audience members will roll their eyes when I say this, okay, especially those who listen every night. We also saw a real difference between UFO and UAP.
Absolutely.
I've had insiders tell me point blank that there is a difference. UAP are more man-made objects. UFOs are UFOs. And in the way they were writing, a lot of people will say that's just semantics, but at this level, they don't do anything for just semantics.
They're changing the meanings of the words, but it's, yeah, no, absolutely. And isn't that unusual that the stuff that we used to see, the stuff that they were reporting were the classic UFOs, classic flying saucers of various different shapes and sizes, right? But now what are we seeing? Tic Tacs. We're seeing stuff that is, it's ours. It's our technology. And we're playing it off like, oh, look at how scary this is. Oh, and we're seeing surveillance video from 25 years ago, 35 years ago. Nothing from last week or last month. We're not seeing anything. They're not showing us anything that, ooh, look at what we caught over here when we happen to be flying over Iran. We're not seeing any of that stuff. I think some of the newest stuff that we saw there was from Afghanistan. How many years have we been out of Afghanistan now?
Yeah, I found that weird on the release that the majority of the videos that were shown were from the Middle East. That one really made me wonder whether or not we're looking at future technologies that we don't know that are ours, or whether or not it's UFO. Because
there's two different ways to look at that.
I had somebody tell me once, when the whole war began between Hamas and Israel, and they started bombing the Gaza Strip. I'm not getting into the politics side of everything because, I mean, that could go either way. But this person told me, he says to me, within 5 days, you are going to see a video of a black triangle over the Gaza Strip. And it was on day 2 or 3. There was a video that captured a black triangle over the Gaza. And I texted him and I said, I guess it came out. And he goes, what did I tell you? He goes, you could call me intuitive for knowing that was going to happen.
Or,
right. Well, this person has to be careful with the way they word things to me.
Of course.
Right? But we don't know. Like to you or me, that's a UFO.
Yep.
Or but to people in the know, that's just another spy aircraft.
It's our stuff. Yep. And it's the stuff that even the vast majority of the military doesn't even know about. I mean, we've got black projects on top of black projects underneath black projects that, you know, we don't even know what we're funding, and they're testing all that stuff. There's 2 ways to look at it. The reason that you're seeing all of those videos coming out of that region is because that's frankly where the military is right now. And quite honestly, the vast majority of those videos that you're seeing there were quite obviously from the military. You could tell they're from the military. You can see that it's you know, it's cameras that are mounted inside aircraft or mounted inside moving vehicles, but it's all military grade stuff. So we're either seeing it out of those areas just because that's where the military is right now, or we're seeing it because that's where they're testing all the stuff now that we are, you know, because that's what they do on these exercises is they go out and they test everything that they have because we need to know what we can do.
And you're right on that. I mean, you know, it's funny though. It still makes me wonder, you know, whether or not it's ours. I mean, very few, if we're supposed to be focused and the whole conversation has been, Rich, about these UAPs invading airspaces of military bases on this side of the pond. Why would they be showing us videos from all the way, you know, 6,000, 7,000 miles away? Right? We want to know what's happening here. You're talking about it. You're bragging about it. Why not show us?
Maybe that's what they're not trying to get out, is they're not trying to let them know how vulnerable we are. You know, I mean, if you believe what we've seen as far as testimony that we've seen so far, and this is from 25 years ago, this testimony, people saying that it literally shut down our silos, you know, came over, shut down our silos. We no longer had control over that missile. That's pretty serious stuff, you know, and it's probably not something that you want to advertise to your enemies saying, yeah, there are points of time when we had absolutely no control over those missiles. They weren't ours for a minute. So, I mean, there may be that, you know, that they just aren't willing to admit that there were vulnerabilities, security vulnerabilities. But, you know, it's also, I just can't help but feel it. It's just, it's running cover and doing, you know, watch what I'm doing over here so you don't see what I'm doing over here, because it's all just our stuff. It's all our tech. And I you know, I honestly think some of those Navy pilots that are chasing that stuff, they literally don't know that it's ours. They don't know what it is, and they're trying the best to keep up with it with the equipment that they have, not the most up-to-date equipment that we have, just the most up-to-date equipment that they have, that they're flying in currently. And they're out there being guinea pigs just like the rest of us. And they're testing what we have, our newest and latest and greatest stuff. Because how else you're going to dazzle a military like the Chinese that has such vast potential armies? How are you going to dazzle them other than showing them technology that is just so far beyond, it's so Star Wars that they just go, that's it. We can't do this. We can't keep up with this. Whether it's razzle dazzle or whether it's real or not.
I totally agree with you on that. Why would you not test your new technologies on the greatest power on the earth? The greatest fighting force on the earth is the United States Navy.
There you go. You know, I mean, and that's what you do. You know, you go up against your very, very best and you try and see if you can beat them. And if you do, then you take them back to the boardrooms and teach them the different things that you learned from that technology. But that doesn't mean that those guys know that technology, you know. And they're the best we have. Those Navy pilots, man, they are the best that we have, you know. And you know, Navy SEALs, don't play with them, you know.
I was once shown a challenge coin. Okay. And this challenge coin, because I was talking to the person about the Tic Tac UFOs from the 2004 USS Nimitz incident.
Yep.
And this person kept telling me that he believed that the Tic Tacs were ours. Couldn't say how he knew, but he believed they were ours.
Yep.
And he showed me a challenge coin. And this challenge coin had the Mad Hatter on it. And the one thing, and I've never been in the military, but the one thing I've learned from military people, especially when it comes to top secret projects, for some reason, it always seems to include Alice in Wonderland references. I don't know why, but it's their thing. And you're nodding your head yes. Why is that? Why is it always Alice in Wonderland?
Through the Looking Glass. Looking Glass used to be the code name for a nuclear end war scenario. There was actually a movie called Looking Glass, something Countdown to Looking Glass. I think it actually had Burt Lancaster in it. Excellent post-apocalyptic nuclear stuff from the 80s and 90s. But because think about it. What is Alice in Wonderland about? Okay, it's about stepping out of this reality into something else, right? And I think that's what they would like. You know, it's what you'd like to let your enemies think that you've got. You've got technology that's so far beyond anything that they could comprehend that they might as well be fighting Star Wars.
Getting back to the Tic Tacs, I thought the Tic Tacs were ours. I mean, were theirs, aliens, whatever it may be. You know, I talked to Kevin Day. I talked to the guys on the Princeton. And, you know, they talked to people like David Fravor or Alex Dietrich and others who went and intercepted these things. And when I saw this challenge coin, it was very interesting. The challenge coin was from I believe the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And this is before the Matrix movies or anything. And the Mad Hatter was holding a blue pill and a red pill in his hands. And I thought, well, that was weird. And then this is what tipped me off. Was behind the Mad Hatter, it was completely painted black on the challenge coin, except over his left shoulder. And what was there? An exploding white Tic Tac. And the one thing that I have learned in hosting this show and being an extremely amateur researcher, enthusiast, more enthusiast than researcher, is that military patches and challenge coins always tell a story within their picture.
Oh, it's all symbolism. Absolutely.
It is all symbolism. And I, right there in seeing that challenge coin, knew the Tic Tacs were man-made.
Yeah.
All because of a challenge coin. Now, a lot of people have argued with me on that, but the coins and the missions and the patches that military personnel wear tell a story. a very hidden story of the military reality, not yours and my reality. Talk to us a little bit about that, Rich.
Well, when you're in the military, the first thing you do, I mean, going into boot camp, the first thing they do is they strip you down so that you all look the same. First of all, okay, you come out of 8 weeks of boot camp and you all look the same. You're bald as an egg. You got like 1/16 of an inch of hair on your head, and clean shaven and been slapped into shape, and you all look the same. The only thing that looks different is your hair color and your heights and the colors of your skin. And you come out of there, you go into whatever your job is, what have you, and you start to understand that you've got your whole vocabulary is completely different because everything is an acronym. After a while, those acronyms that exactly what they mean to a civilian looking at it, it's just gobbledygook. It's just like when you were reading about the transcripts coming from space, because I was such a freak about the space. I knew the parts they were talking about there, and I knew the designations that they were talking about. They were using acronyms for their position in space and things that they were getting ready to do as far as burns and whatnot. But you just get used to that. You get used to you're speaking a completely different language than civilians. On a daily basis, you're doing stuff that some people only dream of or never even dream of doing. I mean, yeah, I could tell plenty of stories of just the wild things that occurred and that I saw while I was out to sea for 110 days out in the middle of the Indian Ocean, But that's part of it is when you're in the military, that's your family, and they're the only people you can relate to because they understand what you're talking about and you understand what they're talking about. But, everybody who's outside of it, it's just all, they have no idea what's going on. And I think they like it that way, is that, basically civilians don't really know what's going on, and we out there doing our jobs, a bunch of kids out there, literally. I mean, you got kids that are anywhere from 18 to, the oldest kid. I was one of the oldest people I was in, and I was only like 23 when I was in, and I was one of the oldest people in. So they're youngsters, even those guys flying those planes, they're college graduates, but they're in their late 20s, early 30s, and just flying those multi-million-dollar things around. Yeah, it was interesting. It was very interesting, but that's what it is. It's such a different life. And when you're in it, you're completely involved with it. So, however much time you spend in it, it's something that becomes ingrained in you. I wasn't in for that long, and I still have habits that I carry through that I picked up when I was in the military.
Do you think then that this technology, as we got about a minute to go here, is from Lockheed Martin, Boeing, McDonnell Douglas, Grumman,
Martin Marietta? You bet. Absolutely. I do. Or even some NGOs that we don't even know the names of, that are so black and so deep that we don't even know the names of.
Have you seen any reports on that?
Not that I lend any credence to. No. I mean, honestly, I as much as I delve into all of these things, I'm one of the biggest skeptics there are. Because I want proof. I want to see it.
Me too. I want to see it. That's the juice, man. That's the juice that is going to quench my thirst, Rich.
That's the only thing that's going to, I'll say, okay, I believe it now. When I see, the guy with the silver suit stepping out of the saucer on the Washington DC Plaza, then I'll believe it, Well, and then maybe even then I won't, because if I'm not there in person, I might not believe it.
On that note, Rich, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We got Rich Rounds from the Cryptic Darkside podcast with us for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio. We're talking UFOs tonight. He's into sci-fi. We're going to get into that as well next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, my man, we're clear.
Outstanding.
This is flying on by, man.
You said half an hour left. I'm like, wow, okay. Yeah, I was like 2 hours. What am I going to talk about for 2 hours?
Dude, you've been great tonight. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Absolutely. I don't get to do this very often. And honestly, I always tell people that I think I'd be terrible live because I just sometimes I'll get brain farts and just have a mental block. And it's like I have to
Me too.
think on my feet to try and skip beat and get back where I was. But yeah, I think it's just the age. But no, it's been great. This is awesome.
Terry Hall with the quote of the night. It's not going to quench your thirst. It's going to give you hemorrhoids. Freaking anal probes are coming back. Be prepared. All right. There's Grand Baby Minimus in the background.
I just want to see the lone gunman come back and explain all of this stuff.
Dispatch, how are you doing, buddy? Nice to have you here. Oh, man. We got about 3.5 minutes.
Awesome.
Yeah, this has been great. Thank you for doing this again.
No, I have my pleasure anytime.
Did you have a good weekend?
It was hectic. I sometimes it gets to the point where I'm literally writing my show on Saturday, and sometimes I'm trying to produce Tally's show at the same time, and then like this week, I didn't get my file up to Chris until like 10 minutes before 8 o'clock, and my show is at 9. And it's like 3 o'clock in the morning in London where he's at, and he didn't get a chance to put it up. So the show that I sent to you that you have will actually get broadcast this week because it wound up being last week's show that was broadcast. But that was my fault. I just pushed the deadline too far. Sometimes it gets like that. It's like you're like, what? It's Friday already. Let's see. I've got 1 segment out of 8 written. Okay, I need to get busy.
I just do it every night. They screw it.
I don't know. You know, and Clyde used to do, I just don't know. The way he would come up with like, you know, maybe an hour and a half's worth of monologue every night. It's like, wow, how do you do that? You know, I write 25, 35 pages for each show, and it takes me all week. You know?
Do you know what the key is? Bullet points.
Yeah, I do little. I'm started to do little small outlines because
yeah,
some of them, a lot of my stories are stream of consciousness. I kind of know the general area that the show's going in, but I just start writing. I'm going to start writing, and then I just make sure that I go back and that everything, you know, is coherent. That everything, you know, but. It's just, sometimes I don't even know how the story's going to end. It's just like, this is getting good. Okay, I'm going to go like this.
That is the beautiful part about it.
It is. It's always a surprise. Yeah.
You know, we got about 1:20.
Awesome. Let me know, and I'll figure out a way to get you a copy of my books.
Yeah.
It's just cool. Last year's transcripts of the original stories.
Love it.
Awesome.
Love it. Minute to go here. Thank you tonight to our super chatters, Kmart, What in Tarnation, Mickey, and Kitty. If you haven't yet, because I know we got 222 people watching on YouTube right now, if you could do me a favor, give us a thumbs up. If you're new here, hit subscribe, ring that bell. We are here every Monday through Friday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. You can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store and our website. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff in public and actually be proud to wear it at more places than a garage sale or mowing your lawn or to the corner store to get gas. Okay, we like our stuff. You can wear our stuff out in public and be happy with it. Here we go, everybody. Second half coming up now. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're talking UFOs. We're talking aliens with Rich Rounds from the Cryptic Darkside podcast. And we got him till the top of the hour. Let's bring him on. Rich, do me a favor. Tell everybody about your podcast, the Cryptic Darkside.
Well, when I first started out my show, I was doing it kind of like a something you'd see on Ancient Aliens or something. You know, I did segments on cryptids and on monsters, and I'm a huge fan of old sci-fi movies and the horror movies, classic horror movies. So I did a lot of things like that. And then on episode 18, I had my people in the chat room and stuff, and I'd reach out to them. I was like, "Hey guys, I write fiction, fictional stories. Would you guys be interested in hearing one of those next week?" And they're, "Oh yeah." It was so popular. I've been writing original stories since, and I'm on this week was episode 47. So
nice.
And each story, I write them in segments, and typically a show will have 6 to 8 internal segments and then an intro and an outro. And I tell stories and I mix it with music. And lately I've been doing sound effects and different character voices and just trying to make it real audio theater. I like to tell stories. I tell pure science fiction, a little bit of horror, some satire. A lot of it is dystopian future stuff and apocalyptic stuff. I like to end the world. About half my stories, you wind up ending the world at the end of it.
The fact that you get to use your own creativity, in your own way, and use your imagination with writing these sci-fi type fictional stories. I mean, that's got to be fun.
It is. Like I said, it's an adventure. Honestly, the way that I write is I have a general sense of the direction of where I want to take the story. I kind of think about what kind of things I want the protagonist to have to deal with during the course of the story. And I sort of have an idea of where I'm going to wind up with it in the end. But when I start writing, it's pretty much stream of consciousness. I fall into the characters, and a lot of it is dialogue. I try to write in a very cinematic fashion. I try to paint pictures for people, but I also have learned that less is more, as opposed to giving like infinite tiny little details to paint a picture for people. It's easier to give them very vague things and have them paint their own images in their mind with what you're telling. And it seems to work out really well.
How often do you produce, and where can people find it?
So I do this every week, unless of course the weeks that I have to run a rerun, but it's Sunday nights at 9 p.m. That's Pacific time, and it's on groundzeroplus.com, and that's every Sunday night. I also produce the show that comes on right before it at 8 o'clock. That's Tally's show, Golden Alchemy. She does interviews with interesting people. Like, she'd love to talk to you, actually. I think she has at one point, hasn't she?
No, I've never been on with her.
Oh, well, I know she'd love to have you on her show. So
Oh, just let
anyway,
me
I'll,
know.
I'll hook you up. Absolutely.
Yeah, let me know. I'd love to. Love to come hang out with you guys.
Awesome. Awesome. I'll let her know. She might even be listening tonight. Hi, Tally.
Perfect. Perfect. Hello, Tally. As we continue on with my face for radio here. Getting back to the UFO side of things, because I know you're really into sci-fi. Okay. What do you think they aren't showing us? What do you think that, in combining your love of science fiction and this whole UFO topic, what do you think we're missing out on as a public?
My personal feelings, because I like to look at it from a scientific point of view, honestly. And I, just from a sheer physics standpoint, I don't believe that anything that we are seeing is coming from quote unquote outer space. Just because the distances involved, the technology that would be involved to cross those distances, the reason to cross those distances, and just the fact that you have to understand the age of the universe. And it's almost impossible for humans to comprehend the numbers of the age of the universe. And to think about that, you have to have a society that has progressed to a certain point and reached a point and has the technology to be able to do these types of things. Well, that's going to be a span of time. Let's say it takes 10,000 years. 10,000 years compared to the total time of the existence of the universe is about the same thing as like a single grain of sand compared to all of the beaches in the entire world. That's how infinitesimally small 10,000 years would be. So not only do you have to have civilizations that are in the exact time frame to be able to put out that kind of technology to come and visit, they'd have to have a reason to visit. I mean, there's nothing special about this planet. Okay. There's plenty of planets out there that have water resources. There are plenty of planets that have the mineral resources that we have. I have no doubt that there are plenty of planets out there that have animal resources and plant resources like we have, just different. So there's really, what would be the reason? What would be the rationale for any kind of civilization to cross those kinds of distances? Why would you do that? My whole reason for saying this is, in my opinion, just coming from a scientific background, if this is not us, human beings, us living on the outside of the planet here, it's something from the oceans. It's something that's been here all along. That's down in the areas that we know less about our oceans than we know about outer space. We know more about outer space than we know about our oceans, our own oceans. And I think if there's anything that is not us, it's down there, and that's where it's coming from. And that is what would lend any kind of credence whatsoever to those Tic Tacs not being ours, because of the way they've seen them fly, going from the air and into the water and then back out again. That's something we can't do. We don't have ships that are capable of handling those kinds of stresses and being able to just zip in and out and go right, left, But again, that's what they tell us we don't have. We have no idea what we actually have. We as the public, and actually probably the vast majority of our government and our military, have no idea what we actually have. There's probably a very, very rarefied few at the top of the food chain. The president might not even be aware of everything that we have.
I don't think the president would know. I don't think
they may not let him know to have a plausible deniability. If you don't know it, you don't have to deny knowing it, because you don't know it. It's hard to give away secrets if you don't know them.
Let's get into a couple questions from our audience. Start off with Adrian here. Do you think the Earth is at a stage set to play out the final battle between good versus evil?
I think there's a lot of people that would like you to think that. I think there's a huge contingent of people that really are trying to either bring on a genuine eschaton or want you to think that that's what's happening. Sure. But no, I think there's plenty of evil just in mankind in general. And I think that the battle between good and evil happens within all of us every day, quite honestly. And yeah, it seems like lately there have been a whole lot of people out there that I would say are wandering around with what I would call a soul. And it's kind of distressing. It's really distressing to see the way that public discourse and just the way that people act in general has just deteriorated in the last 20 years. It's really sad. I don't know about your country, but this country used to be different. 35, 40 years ago, this was a very different country than it is now. And quite honestly, the turning point was 9/11, 2001. That's when everything changed. And it wasn't for the better.
I would say the same thing happened up here as well. I remember being able to cross the border, not needing a passport. What do I need a passport for? We're just, we're going for a bite to eat. We're friends. You're American. We're Canadian.
Seriously. You know what? And the last time I did that, crossed over, was back in, wow. It would have been 99. That's the last time I crossed over. And, going over to Canada, sweet little lady, hey, how's it going? Oh yeah, have fun. What are you going to do? Oh, we're going to go this. Oh, have fun. Coming back, it was, turn the camera off. It's like, oh God, yeah, we're going back to the United States. Wow. That was back then. I won't even do it now.
Never been harassed at the border. Ever. Maybe I'm lucky, but in 30 years how old am I? I'm 52. Be 53 in 2 weeks. So I've been driving to the States since I was 19. So what's that? 34 years? Never been harassed at the border.
No, the few times that I went over, they never gave me any problems. Even when I was bringing things back over the border that I should have been bringing over the border, I never got harassed.
Yeah. Tell you a quick funny story here. Last year, I was going to Nebraska to the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. And so I'm at Vancouver Airport going through immigration to get to the United States. And I get this lady and she goes, "Where are you going?" I said, "Nebraska." She goes, "What are you going there for?" "I'm going to attend a Bigfoot conference." "You believe in Bigfoot?" "Yes, ma'am." "Have you ever seen Bigfoot?" "Yes, ma'am." "I watch the shows." I would be so scared. I said, "Would you like to see some footprints? I have pictures of footprints." She goes, "You just stand right there and you show me those prints, please." So I literally stood there showing her prints on my phone that I have from my Sasquatch area. And she was so excited. So excited. But I just want to quickly answer Adrian's question from my theory on this. I think that this is why we are in a controlled narrative on this subject of UFOs and alien life, because there is something biblical about this that they do not want the public to know. When you have more than half of this world's population praying to one God or one other deity or other, and there are 5,000 different religions on this beautiful blue orb in the middle of nowhere of space, they want to control it. They want to control the narrative. They want to control everything. This is why I've always said that we are in we're in a confirmation mode of this. I'm going to ask you a very, very deep question that might upset some of our audience. So if you're in one of our chat rooms, I'm going to tell you right now, this isn't your cue to go all political. because we're just going to talk UFOs. Do you think this latest drop in files and the admission that there's weird things going on, do you believe this potentially makes Donald Trump the disclosure president?
I wouldn't say that these 158 pages that they've released are, or items, not necessarily pages, but if they do continue to make drops and they start to be significant and cover, like you said, some of the areas that we want information about. Tell us about Kecksburg. Give us the real dope on Roswell. What really happened down there? And what happened down in New Mexico? Is that for real? In La Dolce, yeah, I want to see all of that stuff. And if that starts coming out, then yeah, he's definitely the disclosure. Give him all the cred, where it's due. But if it's just more of this stuff, the dross, if you will, no, that's not doing anything. It's just,
Well,
it's just muddying the waters further, honestly.
Trump aside, doesn't matter who the president is.
Sure.
In order to have proper disclosure, do we need the announcement in front of a microphone, in front of the White House, saying, "My fellow Americans, we are not alone"?
I think the only way that you'd be able to get away with that and actually have anybody believe that is, okay, and they wheel it out and they open it up and there it is. There's your dead alien, and they start showing you the images of, here's where we got him from. Here's the crash disk that we got him out of. That will be disclosure. Anything else is just theater.
Let's go to Jules. Which TV series or movie franchise do you think reveals the most actual truth?
Fallout. Because that's where we're headed.
I'm going to say it's a combination between the 80s television series V, the Spielberg series Taken, and every futuristic Arnold Schwarzenegger movie like The Running Man and Terminator, especially Terminator 2.
Yep.
I would say it's a combination of all of those.
And The Matrix.
Matrix 2. Yeah, that's a good pull.
Blade Runner. As far as the truth, I don't know. The truth is so subjective anymore. It's like we were talking about how they make words meaningless anymore. They just keep changing the labels and changing the words and making it eventually to where it's just meaningless.
Well, and you bring up a good point there. I mean, when you're changing the acronyms, you're changing the wording, you're trying to take control of a narrative. What do? You change what's in people's minds.
You switch it up. No, and after a while, so they got rid of UFOs, and now they've gotten rid of UAPs, or they're trying to, and who knows what the next one's going to be. But it's all about erasing the past. I mean, this is every bit as much as the old Soviets, where they used to airbrush out the guys that weren't toeing the line anymore. They would just disappear out of the class pictures.
That is very true. Very true. Let's go to K17 here. If you dream about seeing UFO craft, does that mean you were visited by alien beings?
Possibly that, or you're just really into UFOs. A lot of the stories that I write come from my dreams. I have a very vivid imagination, and I live another life when my eyes are closed, and I have no problem drawing on that as inspiration for my stories.
for most ET contactees, from what I have learned, most ET contactees do not remember their dreams unless it's nights they've been taken, where they have little snippets of UFOs or snippets of aliens. That's how they know they've been taken.
And Tally and I have talked about this because of her experience of being taken. And I've tried to convince her that everything that you've described to me is something that can be done with psychoactive drugs. And you coming out of it briefly and them having to put you back under is classic. That's classic CIA crap. So, you know, it makes me wonder how many of these experiencers, yeah, they experienced something all right, and it was real, but it wasn't necessarily what they remember.
We got time for one more question here. Let me pull it up here. Werewolf is asking, do you think the aliens are coming from behind the land, behind the ice wall on the flat earth? Oh my God, really? This is how we're going to end it, as a flat earth question?
You know, I'd almost buy the hole in Antarctica, you know, the hollow earth theory that where did Admiral Byrd go during that expedition? You know, was that real? Did that happen? Can you fly over the edge down into a hole? Basically where we got Godzilla and King Kong at this point.
All I'm saying is that's where Megatron is, and we do not want Megatron getting pissed off.
Don't give him the shard.
Don't
give him the shard.
It is so much easier that way if we just keep Megatron in the ice. You know, we got about 2.5 minutes left with you tonight, Rich. When we look at the overall picture of what we saw in the UFO files that have originally been dropped, and now we start to look at part 2, the second drop that's going to be coming here anytime, what should we look forward to? What should the public keep their eye open for, whether it's positive or negative?
Well, I'm hoping to see more video that's a little bit more. You know, I want to see some of the stuff that they're afraid to show us. I want to see the testimony from we've seen military testimony, and we've seen testimony coming from, they just identify them as federal agents, you know. So these are not people that are prone to hallucinations and to confabulating stuff. And literally a lot of these people, they're reporting this stuff knowing full well that it could be the end of their career just because they said this stuff. You know, they're putting their careers on the line, saying, look, I saw this. I know I saw this. You can't tell me I didn't see this, and I don't know what it is. And I'm a professional, and I do this for a living, and I don't know what this is. So, you know, I have a hard time believing that there's that many of those types of people out there that are just doing this for fun. You know, you don't go out and wreck your career for fun. You know, and there's probably a bunch of guys out there that are screwballs that are doing the government's business by making sure that there's a lot of nonsense that's being swirled into all this, so that it just becomes, you know, it's incomprehensible. I'm sure there's a bunch of those guys out there. But I think there's a whole bunch of people out there that have had experiences they can't explain.
Rich, I'm going to get you to quickly tell our audience where they can find the Cryptic Darkside.
You can come down to groundzeroplus.com, and on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific time is the Cryptic Darkside. The hour before that is Tally's show at 8 o'clock, and that's the Golden Alchemy with Talitha Adeline. And you can also find my books, which are the transcripts of the original stories from season 2025, are available on Amazon.com. You can just search for Rich Rounds or the Cryptic Darkside.
Rich Rounds, everybody from the Cryptic Darkside. Coming up next in hour 3, Swamp Dweller and the UFO Report with Grant.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Rich, I'm so glad we did this. Thank you.
Thank you, man. It was an absolute pleasure. I'm going to listen to the rest of the show.
All right, we got to do this again.
Absolutely, and I'll let Tally know that you're open for, and we'll get together and figure out a good time for both of us. Okay,
let's do it. All right, buddy.
Awesome.
Take care.
All right, take care, man.
We're gonna go to break, everybody.
Stop now! You're under arrest! Hands up! Don't move!
Don't get caught without your Spaced Out Radio merchandise. We have t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, socks, hats, stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can look the part? We don't have ugly merch, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Dirty filth. Dirty filth. Dirty filth.
Object is heading north 045 degrees. It's definitely not a plane. It seems to be tethered to something. Is that a banner, Joe? Caribou Con. Does anyone know what Caribou Con is?
Caribou Con, one of the BC Caribou region's best-kept secrets. Until now. Join our panel of renowned paranormal experts for a weekend of fun and intriguing presentations. Go to cariboucon.com to book or inquire now.
Over here. Look at this.
Discover Spaced Out Radio on all your favorite platforms. We're live every single night with the best in UFOs, cryptids, paranormal, and the unexplained. And you can find us on all your favorite platforms. Head over to Instagram for behind the scenes and daily weirdness, TikTok for quick mind-bending clips, Facebook for community discussions, and X for real-time updates and hot takes. Wherever you scroll, Spaced Out Radio is there. So go search Spaced Out Radio on every platform, hit follow, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single episode.
The weird is waiting. See you there.
The McNeil House is one of several buildings at the 108-mile heritage site said to be haunted by spirits of a time long forgotten. But would you stay the night? Along with guided ghost tours and paranormal investigations, Haunted 108 is offering a chance to spend the entire night inside the historic McNeil House by booking one of our B&B style sleepovers, where you can experience the hauntings firsthand, meet the resident ghost cat, and witness unusual activity. If you dare to turn history into a night you'll never forget, book your spot now at haunted108.com. Spots are limited. Will you be brave enough?
All right. Thank you very much. As we get ready to come back for the third and final hour, Swamp Dweller will be just about 3 minutes. Let's say hello to Grant here. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How you doing, brother?
Good. Let's say hello to Blue Skies for coming on in. Better late than never. And thank you to our super chatters tonight. We have Kitty, we have Mickey, we have What in Tarnation and Kmart. Thank you very much for your love and support, guys. We really appreciate it. We got 20 seconds. We're having fun tonight. We are. And now we're going to finish up hour 3. What a great guest we had with Rich Rounds. I really liked him.
Oh, man, right there when you start talking about Admiral Byrd, I was just like, my guy. Let's go.
Here we go, buddy. Here we go. We are into the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We really appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You could follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Jeremiad. Jeremiad is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. All right. For some reason, we are having a little bit technical difficulty here. So we're not going to go to Swamp Dweller because it just will not load. It will not load. So that's okay. Sometimes these things happen, which means we just get a few more minutes with Grant Baker and the UFO Report.
Sky, Grant's got the stories breaking through. What hidden now comes into view. From distant light to secret files, history tracks. Revealed every signal slowly peeled. So tune in close, don't miss the facts. UFO facts, we've got your backs. Becomes a song.
Grantavius Max, it's been a wild few days here since the UFO files were released. First off, let's get your thoughts on all of this.
I watched the panel when I had time and listened to, what Melinda and Grant and everybody had to say about it. And I'm kind of on the same fence with what they're coming out with. And, there's been talk about them steamrolling this out over a period of time. I don't know if a huge disclosure where they're just releasing everything at once would ever really happen. I mean, you got probably hundreds of people behind the scenes trying to redact as much as they can, and you're just not going to get it out as fast as we want them to. Plus, there's so much more sensitive material there that they're trying to pile through. Just like we've been hearing, especially with Burleson, who's quoted. It's basically low hanging fruit, and that's exactly what it is in my mind as well. But it is a step in the right direction.
There's a little bit of fallout going on right now. There are a lot of people on the inside saying, "Whoa, whoa, 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 what are you doing here? Why are we releasing these things? The public doesn't need to know about this." And Anna Paulina Luna, the congressperson who is the head of the conspiracy club, she's opening up about it.
Yes. So when it comes to her, she's a representative out of Florida, chairwoman of the House Oversight Committee, excuse me, the task force there on the declassification, of basically federal secrets. She's been one of the most aggressive voices pushing for UAP transparency alongside, Burleson, Eric Burleson and Tim Burchett and others. These are people that are being very, they're our hammer right now, trying to beat down the door, so to speak. And her blunt assessment that agencies have repeatedly, stonewalled Congress, and even a whistleblower protection and transparency measures is coming to light where this is becoming a little difficult for us to swallow nowadays. Especially the recent release on the or what was it called, the UAP files. It's on war.gov. I had a memory issue there for a second, and they've called it a massive first step, which is what we expect. That's what we want. But the stonewalling and blocked efforts that she talks about is, there's a couple things that I focus on with her, and she states that every time Congress has tried to advance, whistleblower protection or even access, agencies block them, and then that leads fear among witnesses for prosecution or loss of security clearances. And, this raises actually a core question about who truly controls information flow inside our government. It's getting a little, like, it's starting to open up people's eyes to this, I think.
Well, I think there's a new reality. And that reality is, for so many times and so many years, this subject has been denied. And there have been, people who allege that there are politicians who are controlled by the military industrial complex. And when you have that happening, it's easy for the military industrial complex to control a lot of these situations. Because let's say you are the governor, pick your state. You're in Oregon. Okay, so let's pick Oregon here for a second. And let's say Oregon makes certain parts and for the military. Doesn't matter what the parts are. But let's say there's 12,000 people who are employed by these military contractors in Oregon. Well, if it's a company called Daveco, okay, who makes those parts, and I get the politicians coming up to me saying, "Hey, I'm going to support these UFO stuff," I can make a phone call right there and say, "You know what? It would be really a shame if all of a sudden we moved our operations to Kentucky, or we moved our operations into Nevada or Missouri or wherever it may be. You might want to reconsider how you're supporting this UFO stuff."
Oh.
And what's going to happen? You're all of a sudden going to be saying, "Yeah, we're not going to do that."
It's not only that. Tim Burchett was just recently on another show, and I was listening to him speak about it. And the people that are in Congress, and there's over 400 of them, or in the House of Representatives, and there's over 400 of them. And it was very interesting to listen how certain individuals within that group would go out of their way to just ask the most ridiculous questions. And he says it's because he thinks that some of those people's families work for these different agencies or contractors that are out there, and they have something on them. And it was a very interesting conversation where you're like, "Hey, you're going to play ball for us because it'd be really bad if this information got out on you." It's like a little bit of a blackmail thing going on there. But I mean, there's just all the people that we've been talking about, where there's, Eric Burley, Tim Burchett, Anna Paulina Luna, these are all there's many aspects of Congress that suspect there's programs that are involving back engineering of recovered tech. And she has been referred as there was one I had, she's seen evidence in skiffs and things of non-human origin. You've had Burchett saying the same thing. These things got to come out, and they're the ones that there has to be a consistent push, a steady pressure within the walls of the three-letter agencies, or even if it's contractors, civilian contractors that are out there that has these. They need to have constant pressure in order for this stuff to come out. I mean, you got Arrow, there's critics for that. When they're less than adequate is what Luna calls them. And it's whistleblowers have told her or task force that force Arrow to hold additional they're holding unreleased videos. And we need to pressure them to get that from them. We got to get that out of there.
What is your theory on why they're trying to hold it back?
When it comes to the broader aspect or the broader picture of what's going on here and where the real information sits, and you got to look at this anymore where this is no longer the United States. This is global, especially with another topic that we're going to be introducing here in just a few minutes. I think in certain aspects, there's so much information. There's just so much information and so much technology that we probably uncovered. Some of it's being used for weapons. Could you imagine if free energy got released? Who would suffer from that? Big oil, the energy states, energy itself is going to suffer. And there's billions of dollars and trillions of dollars globally to be had there. And they're not going to give that up easily. And so if you find something like that, you're going to have a lot of wealthy people, a lot of wealthy companies. They're not going to want that kind of information out. And I think it's just a money grab. I think they want to continue controlling people. They don't want to give away free energy, even if we found it. And some of it's going to be weapons or exotic propulsion systems. If you want to reverse back to the scientists. And just like other people are mentioning, like it's just, if you look at it like a ball, like a soccer ball, you got black, white, black, white, black, white, and each individual of those, hexagons or whatever they are that are on that soccer ball is a different company, and each of those companies are making bank on us. But we have technology now that would make all those companies go away. You're not going to do that. And I think that's what's going on, whether it's weapons or energy, advanced propulsion systems. It could be something as simple as we can dry your hair in 2 seconds flat. Women will love it. Buy this new ion hair dryer. I don't know. But realistically, it's probably a lot more technology than we can even fathom right now. And they don't want that out. I don't think it's just our little green men or gray men real. I believe that most people believe that's already the case. Now it's why are you holding the tech back? Why are you not telling us everything?
Right. Well, one of the things that we didn't see in the report and leading up to it, Grant, was we had heard from this minister named Perry Stone, who came out on his podcast and said he and others had been talked to by people within the intelligence agency to start preparing their congregations. Now, apparently he's back channeling on that a little bit regarding the alien contact and everything, but we didn't hear any of that in the release. It was all pretty much Arrow files. So are you surprised that we didn't get anything like that? That they weren't preparing humanity, or do you think that's still too early in the game?
I do believe it's too early in the game. I believe that I think that the people that are really controlling this do have an agenda. I believe that we will get certain information out, but not all. I think that, once you start listening to where they're like, okay, we're going to go to the Pope, we're going to go to all these ministers and deacons and say, hey, get your congregations ready, because when mass disclosure, when I look at something like that, it's like, okay, did you do that just to create like a little flare, like look at me over here? Because that's kind of what that seemed like to me. Most people, and whatever their faiths are going to be able to accept this. Like, if people's egos, or they're so naive enough to think that we're the only living thing in this universe, and they got other issues they need to deal with. But it's none of my business. When it comes straight down to it, if a congregation really needs to know, I don't really believe that it's going to affect your faith in whatever you believe in. Period. I think that was just a show, a facade. Look over here. Don't look at the guy behind the curtain. And when I see those things, and then now he's backpedaling a little bit. So if someone gave him a talking to somewhere, but no, I don't. I'm not surprised that didn't come up. And we're not going to have that kind of disclosure. Like, what was it? When you prep everybody or hype, it's like hyping people up. You know, you can't hype people up when this is all you released. Like, unless you release everything tomorrow and it gets spooky and start scaring people, and the real truth comes out, especially what, Anna Polina Luna or Tim Burchess been talking about, what they see in these skits, where they hear these things and have these high up individuals and the pilots, and they got the videos. And if they want to just release it all, and let's light the world on fire. Let's talk about it.
Well, it is going to be interesting to see where this goes. Let's move on, because there was a big UFO sighting in Ukraine, and it has been capturing the attention of a lot of people here. I'm just curious if you could break that down for us.
Yeah, so it was a gentleman named Sari. His nickname was Flash. Sari, I'm going to mess this one up, but it's Beskrestanov. There we go. And he was an advisor to the Ukraine Ministry of Defense and electronics warfare expert. I mean, this guy was awesome. For anybody that's watching or can see what he's doing, he has a video that he shared via Telegram, and that was this year, May of 26. It was new drone aerial reconnaissance footage from May of 25, so last year. And this was captured and it's a really striking picture. It's a globe with like 6 spikes on it. It's really cool looking picture. This was 800 meters elevation over the front lines. This also follows his 23 release of similar footage. So this isn't the only footage that he's released. And you got to understand, this is not just random sightings. Ukraine has actually formalized this into a military effort. So the video itself is striking. I've seen people use AI to break it down. And what they come across is what you would probably see in movies. It's very interesting. He posted it. He posted one in 23, and within an hour, a government agency literally handling this since the Soviet times contacted him, and they didn't like that. So in the 25 video, there was a report that from military personnel that shows an identified object. The descriptions and discussions often note silent, dislike, or anomalous behavior hovering over conflict zones. So this is not something that is just happenstance or random or very rare. They actually are seeing this quite often. And you got to look, if you shift to like a more military or pre-war priority here, it's more than civilian and scientific. I mean, since Russia's invasion in Ukraine, it's become a defense intelligence issue. So, I mean, they're giving possible explanations of like advanced aerial weapons, drones, electronic warfare tech, disguised or unknown. Disguised meaning they're disguising it to look like a UFO, but it's really something else underneath. Ukraine's armed forces have a special comprehensive document on UAPs that was approved by the commander-in-chief. So, I mean, this is not just U.S. people. This issue is global. And the nature of UAPs is global. So you got the Soviet-era programs that suggested longstanding interest, and I'm talking Cold War UFOs. And we have files that say this. We're now in wartime, and any unknown aerial tech is a threat if it's in war. Doesn't matter whether it's ours or not. And it could be enemy balloons, drones, novel propulsion systems, which is what we're seeing, and something exotic. So it's very interesting to see it.
Here's something about this Ukrainian video that I'm not a big fan of. Okay, you could tell that the pilot of the UFO is very much in control of his drone. If you have something that looks like a underwater mine floating in the sky, you don't turn your camera away from it and then come back, give a little glimpse of it, and then turn away, and then turn back, and then turn away. You hold it there. You're going to want to capture that as much as possible. You're going to want to keep it in the middle of the frame. You're not going to be wanting to bounce, as much as this thing is. Now, obviously, we don't know if whatever that craft is that it's filming, if it's sending any sort of propulsion the drone's way in order to try and knock it off its tracks or destabilize it. It doesn't really look like that to me. But on the flip side, the way that drone is bouncing around and not filming it, I find that a little disturbing, because that always seems to happen when we get these situations where people are like, oh my God, look at this video. And in the meantime, they're putting it out of focus, or they're turning the camera away. I would never, ever, Grant, if I was filming you, okay, and let's say it's your birthday and I'm filming you, I'm not going to all of a sudden turn my camera to look at a chair. You know what I'm saying? Right. Or a beer bottle on the table. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep the camera on you. I may turn and show the people around you singing happy birthday, but the camera is mainly going to be on you. And in this video, to me, my complaint about it is that there is no stability for whatever this craft will do. Now, maybe I'm being a little bit picky. Maybe I'm being picky. I don't know. I'm willing to say that. But if I'm the pilot, I'm holding that there.
Yep.
That's research. That's data. And even if it isn't a UFO, it allows you to get the data to try and figure out whose is it. Is it Ukrainian? Is it a different Ukrainian drone? Is it a Russian drone? Is it a space pirate drone? Who is it? What is it? You're not going to be turning away. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. If you kind of watch the video over and over again, it almost looks like the quote unquote drone that had caught this isn't stable in of itself. There's something wrong there. It's almost like it's attached to a balloon, and it's just kind of, it swings, and you'll see it almost has a swinging motion. It will stop and stabilize, and then it looks down, but then it's almost like the camera operator and the person that's flying the drone are two different people. Because the person that's flying the drone is trying to get to one place. The camera operator is looking around going, okay, what are you trying to get to? Okay. And then let's look back at this thing. Like, what the heck is that? But then it cants to the side, almost like this drone is moving. Because you know how a drone works. They will kind of flip up on their side and fly as fast as they can in whatever direction they turn to. This thing almost goes upside down a couple times, and it gets static, and then it's looking at this object, and then it pans away, almost like it's trying to get back over there. It's just an odd filming, almost like they didn't really have full control of it. If you're watching it, there is a few moments where it shows it, but then it drops again, and then it almost goes upside down, and it's just. I'd be interested in seeing exactly the drone or what this was that filmed it. But I mean, that also might be sensitive information. We don't know.
Well, and like I said, in my opinion, that's what makes the video a lot less credible than what it could be if it was actually a UFO. And Grant, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We are going to come back with more of the UFO report. Grant Baker joining us here on Spaced Out Radio. He's up next. This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Snow. All right, we're clear.
Sweet.
Where's your earpiece tonight? Because your microphone sounds different.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
I'm using my earbuds or my.
Yeah, but you normally do, and it sounds, you sound very distant and quiet.
Oh, well, so last week before I left, I was using the Bose, and I set it down, the one that I was using, and the case is gone. So I'm literally looking for my other earbuds, that my really good ones. These are just the Apple Pros.
All right.
So if I got to buy more, I'll buy more.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Got about 4 minutes here, buddy.
Oh, not a problem. I was trying to look for that picture for you.
I'm just looking for something here for you.
There was a really cool picture. It was a digitization of that one you just showed. But now it's gone. They took it down. I just realized something.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Said I just realized something. I'm going to have to bring it up on the show.
All right.
Looking at pictures.
Good. I'm looking for a specific article here. And be damned if I can find it now.
Happens every time.
I thought, oh no, I don't need to retweet that because I'll read it on the show later.
Yeah.
Guess what? This is my FAFO moment for information. I think Ross Coulthart may have taken it down.
Oh.
We've got about 90 seconds. Reminder to everybody that I will be going on with Walter M. Sterling on WABC right after this show. You can go and you can tune it in on the Red Apple Audio Networks. Red Apple Audio Networks. As we will talk to approximately 1 to 1.5 million people about UFOs. I'm happy with that.
You talking about him, his internal blocking of CIA, DIA stuff?
No, he had a list from somebody he was talking to. It was all in point form, like 1, 2, 3.
Numerical. I can't type this high.
That's because you got gout in your foot.
Yeah, something like that. 1, Lou Lozano. 2, Billy Kryzak.
All right, buddy. Here we go in 5 seconds. We're into the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for tuning us in as we get right to the UFO report with our resident UFO reporter that we call UFO Max. Grant Baker, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, my man. Thank you for having me this evening. It's been great.
All right, let's get to the next one here. Tim Burleson says on the UFO files, the real information lies somewhere in between government and the private sector. He goes on to say, we have what's called federally funded research and development centers. Companies like Rand Corporation, MITRE Group, and MIT Lincoln Labs, they have coordinated this government effort with the private industry. A lot of them are doing this secret work, and I've sent them letters to be able to get them to release some of their documents and videos. This goes to what we talked about a little bit earlier about the military industrial complex, that many are starting to realize, not believe, realize, Grant, that there is some sort of cover up going on, maybe even not on purpose, that a lot of this stuff that we think is UFO could be in the hands of private contractors rather than the government, which means the government really isn't lying when they say, hey, we don't have anything, because the private companies don't need to follow the guidelines that the government does with transparency. Your thoughts, Grant?
So let's exactly what you're saying here. Let's take this and separate it into a few groups here. So there's low-hanging fruit versus deeper information. So the first wave of release consists of readily available items that agencies could quickly declassify, which we just talked about. And Eric Burleson expects that they're rolling more out. Okay, so when it comes to federally funded and development centers that are nonprofit entities, and they're sponsored by the government, but operated by like universities or the private companies, the private sector. He had examples that he had written about. So there was the Rand Corporation, and they're an iconic think tank, and in long-term strategy, tech, defense stuff. And then they got the MITRE Corporation, and they work on cybersecurity, air traffic, defense systems. There's an ongoing thing here. So like MIT Lincoln Technology, they focus on electronics and sensors, radar, and aerospace, tech. And so if these organizations do the classified work and they're bridging the government and industry together, you have plausible deniability there. So if you were to go down with a FOIA request saying, hey, I want this, and they're like, oh, we don't have UFOs. Well, that's because the United States government doesn't have them. It's all in the private sector. So, if they're the ones that are holding the UAP related data, the videos, or even have the research of these advanced things that are flying around, and all these contractors have this, and it's not part of the DoD labs, it's outside of those. I mean, this allows huge expertise in their field, but also, just like I was saying, secrecy and plausible deniability when it comes to the DoD. And it's one of those deals where it's kind of a perfect little game of cat and mouse there.
And you're right, it is, because whether the government tells them to or not, because they're private companies, they don't need to disclose. And these companies, Grant, are large enough where if there was, say, some politician trying to act tough saying, you need to release these right now, legally, they don't have to. Legally, the lawyers will get involved. It's going to be lawsuit after lawsuit. They don't have to disclose anything. So the fact that Burleson is basically saying, we would really like these companies to release some of these documents and UFO and videos, he's basically begging them to do it.
So he sent letters demanding, and I want to stress that, and he's even said this. He's demanded the release of documents and videos from these corporations, from these entities, and he's open to subpoenas if it's needed. He will subpoena it, and he's visited at least one or two classified U.S. sites. In fact, Tim Burchett was talking about this as well, where him and Luna and also Burleson went and wanted to go to a military base and talk to these pilots. They wouldn't let them in, and said, "Okay, well, then we'll just make a call." So they made a call, and then a little bit later, they brought him in, and they don't know. The main guy, whoever was there talking to me, goes, "I don't know who you called, but you're about to see the pilots." And they got their way, and it's that kind of pressure is what we need. We need somebody that's going to go out there and carry the hammer for us and get us into these positions where we can talk to these individuals and get these classified, special access programs or whatever they are, to just be released to us. I mean, we're the ones paying for it, for crying out loud. The taxpayers are paying for this. So it's like, dude, you got a black budget program here, special access program there, and they're all this money is being filtered down into, these corporations that are built specifically to back engineer these really neat tech or whatever the heck they're getting. And I mean, I don't know. It's it all ties in together with everything that we've been reading, including the scientists, with it's just everything that's going on right now. It's absolutely wild to be in this time, and I really hope they start rolling out more. To be honest with you,
I hope they do too. I really do, but I can't see these companies without being subpoenaed to Washington, D.C. I can't see these companies voluntarily giving information for the greater good of humanity and for the greater good of transparency. That's not how they work.
Well, look at the implication, including potential breakthroughs in propulsion and energy, just like what we were talking about. Like, if non-human tech exists, risk of like adversarial tech, including drones and weapons and whatever, or the need for better congressional oversight, it's going to be one of the two. But like, when it comes to this kind of stuff, just like you were saying a few minutes ago, like, you might have built maybe the gears or something, whatever it is you're working on, but there's actually people out there that are working on more than that. They have propulsion, they have something that's novel, probably found free energy, the 0 point, whatever you want to call it, and they don't want to get rid of that, because whoever owns that is literally going to own the world. Like, once you can sell free energy to people, you can say, okay, I will sell this technology for this much money, and it's just going to be an ungodly amount. You're not going to give that up. So, I mean, but you don't have to. Like, I don't know why they're so scared to show us little green men and maybe some of their spacecraft. They don't have to show us how the technology works yet. Like, just prove they're here, and you'll probably be left alone.
No, you're very right. You are very right with absolutely everything that's going on. I mean, even David Grush has come out. He came out on Fox News, basically saying that President Trump and the panel who are trying to get these out are being blocked by the CIA and DIA. Grush goes on to say, it has come to my attention as of today that there are some actors within certain intelligence agencies, to include DIA and CIA, that are blocking the release of a new batch of UFO files. So it's not, Grant, just the military industrial complex, it's homegrown intelligence agencies as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I mean, Rush is one to know too, and he's real. For full disclosure, he really wants everything that to drop, and he's willing to go and bite the bullet and go subpoena people, and he's, you know.
Grant, I'm going to get you to take your earbuds out because I think they're dying. We cannot hear you at all. So I'm going to get you to do that here for a minute here. But I think, you know, whether you love or hate David Grush or don't agree with him, whatever it may be, I think what you need to realize is, you know, he is trying very hard to show how difficult it is to get these types of stories out, Grant.
Sorry, I missed that last part. Say it again. Say the
people like
before you
David
get to that.
Grush, whether you agree with him or not, he is, you know, publicly showing a lot of the distress that they are having as, you know, he works for Congressman Eric Burleson, you know, and a lot of these people are having troubles getting that information out because not everybody wants to play in the same game, especially in the intelligence community.
Oh, correct. It's 100% correct in that. I mean, he does have a positive view of this being the first step of things coming out. So, I mean, there is that, but I think he even suggested that there's going to be real momentum and escalation could happen within 90 to 120 days. So, like, you know, not, or 30 to 90 days. I might be wrong. Either way, you know, he's playing ball with us, but he is saying that, you know, all the 3-letter agencies they're not coming around, and it's upsetting. But with him, with Burleson, you know, Eric Burleson, with Annapolina Luna, Tim Burchett's on board, but he's not really the pusher. It's more or less Annapolina Luna and Eric Burleson that are doing a lot of the pushing. And if you have people like him and Grush and whoever else is on the House of Representatives that can start pushing for this, let's go, because more is going to come out. And you know what? We might go 90 days and not have nothing. Just like last time, they already missed the deadline before they did drop anything. So hopefully and realistically, I'd really like them to do it in the 30 to 90 days, but I wouldn't be surprised if they took longer than that.
Well, here's the other thing we also have to look at too. Annapolina Luna saying earlier today that by the end of this week, she's hoping to get the 46 videos out that she asked Department of War Secretary Pete Hegseth for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, you know, it's alleged that it could come out this week. It's alleged that it may come out next week. And I've also heard that it might be another month before these videos come out. But Luna just seems to be very positive that they're on their way.
You know, I love her. She's awesome. And if she's positive, she might have information that she's not sharing with us. You know, you're going to talk about the things that are exciting, you know, the headline news, the things that you can take thumbnails of and post up on YouTube or whatever. And her excitement, though, is she might be talking to other people that she's not telling us about. And they're like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is the time frame. If we can get it out. And you know, she's excited about this. And so she should be. And I would love to trust that they would actually do that. Now, I don't know who it is she's talking to that's going to get this out besides Hegseth. And when it comes straight down to it, only time will tell.
Here's the thing. Once again, a lot of those videos because she shared the list prior to the UFO files coming out. Once again, it's a bunch of videos, the majority of them from the Middle East, from these war zones, you know, whether it's Syria, whether it's Iraq or Afghanistan or Iran, she wants those out. Are you surprised that they are in the Middle East, once again, not American videos. They may be American made, but they're not taking over American soil.
Right. No, I'm not surprised at all. Some of them are, and a lot of the what she had written down in the list of all 46, it gives you what they are, well, sort of like high res, Hackney 4 times observed UAPs at blah 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 blah. You'll get stuff like this, but why the Middle East? Why is it being there? Well, let's look at history when it comes to UFOs or UAPs, whatever you decide to call them. In active war zones, which is what we have going on over there right now, and we have a lot more active war zones over there than we do over here by far. And they, anytime any kind of war happens, you start seeing a higher influx of these UFOs flying in. This phenomena, people catching them on videos, or in this case, a lot of these, which I'm seeing, like the cigar-shaped or fat spherical UAP, and it gives all these dates: 2022, 2021. You know, and there's been active wars except for in 17 this whole time, and that's where we're mainly seeing them. Now, if you pull out some, let's say a nuclear submarine decides to come up and change out its battery, you might even see one then, because anytime there's anything going on with explosions, drama, war, or even nuclear facilities or anything that has to do with nuclear is usually when they start coming out. And a lot more people are looking at the skies, because I'll tell you what, right now, if I was in that war, I'd be watching the skies all day long for those drones that are flying around that can blow up on impact. And so if everybody's looking at the sky for those, you're probably going to catch something else as it's whizzing by.
It is interesting, though, my friend,
It
that
is.
it's, we hear all of this. And like I said to Rich Rounds, in the last hour, we keep hearing about how there's all this engagement over top of military training facilities or military bases or anything like that, Grant. And yet here we are not getting any footage of it. I think the American public may take this a little bit more seriously if we were looking at these videos that were happening over Air Force bases in South Dakota or Iowa or Florida.
I don't know. I mean, when it comes to the military priority footage, most of it is coming from war zones. It is what it is. The domestic incidences that we have here are just handled differently, I think, as well. The ones that are over the United States might be a higher classification, more compartmentalized, like we've seen in the past. Or they might be routed through different channels. They could be going through NORAD or the FAA, and or even our air defense systems that we got here, especially when it comes to the Pentagon. Like, if they see these things, like if it's caught over here, it might just be handled differently. There is a couple of them that are on there that are from here. The Columbus, Ohio airport, and the Lake Huron one is on that list, number 19 and 21, if people want to check that out. But 2 out of 46, I mean, that's ridiculous. But in all reality, it just might because we handle things a little differently. Our systems are highly sensitive. They won't even show us some of the stuff that they have the capability, or the pictures, because it will show off our capabilities of what we can actually do. And we don't want people knowing that. And I understand that. So don't make it as grainy as 1950s, black and white TV footage, but give us something. You can block out whatever you want, doctor things up, but give us the real deal. Let's go.
Do you think, as we got about 3 minutes to go here, that if this next batch of videos is just a bunch of grainy dots, do you think that is going to cause more havoc, or is it and turn people away, which is maybe what they want to do in order to get this subject back under the rug? Or do you think that we're actually going to get something of note, something we can nibble on, something that we could say, holy cow, look at that?
There might be a mixture of both in there. I don't think that we're going to get anything that's going to make people say, holy cow, or shock anybody. I hope that we don't have nothing, all fuzzy, grainy photos of little dots in a white background or a static background. Those are useless. The context isn't there. They don't show anything. They're just showing white hot on a dark background or whatever, however they want to do it. But certain things that they do have, we know they have. We know they have 1040 or even 4K pictures of these things. They have actual video of these things in flight doing acrobatics, for lack of a better word, that we cannot explain. We know we have those, but are we going to get those? No. And then if we did get those, Dave, and we had that picture that said, "Oh my gosh, holy cow," are people going to believe that? Because they're going to think it's AI.
Well, I mean, it's better than seeing a bunch of 1950s style videos taken from the most advanced cameras in the world on the most advanced air forces and navy pilots in the world, okay, or drone operators or helicopter pilots, you know.
Who can read the time on your watch from space, mind you.
Yes, that is very true. I don't get how all of a sudden, we get the most bogus videos. It's like, are we refilming the honeymooners here and we're just zooming it on out? I don't know. Where's Ralph Crampton hiding right now? But I think you're right. I think people are going to get frustrated. If this next set of videos is just a bunch of dots, I think that really goes to show the direction that this is staying. And it really does close a number of doors to what could come out in the future.
I agree.
What a power answer. That's why he's our intrepid UFO reporter right there. We call him Grantavius Max here. Grant joins us a couple times every week for what we call the UFO report, and he's always darn good at what he does. A very, very knowledgeable person and a big teammate of Spaced Out Radio. Grant Baker, thank you for coming back on the show. We always love you here, buddy.
Love it too, brother. I'll see you in a couple days.
Yes, you will. Grant Baker and UFO Max, as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocket in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyrighted by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your listening ears with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, little Granty Baker.
Thanks, yeah, bud. That was fun.
Yeah, man.
Oh my goodness. I'm a little tired tonight, I'll tell you what. Whew. Oh man. Blue Cruise. absolutely welcome. Julie, good seeing you. Oh my goodness.
All right. Tomorrow night on the show, everybody, as I got to get ready for Walter M. Sterling on the other side of midnight. Tomorrow night on the show, Olaf Phillips is going to join us. The world's talking UFOs. So guess what we're going to be doing? We're going to be talking UFOs. So thank you very much for tuning us in. Thank you to Mickey, to Deborah Rooney, to Kitty, to What in Tarnation, and to Kmart for the super chats tonight. We greatly appreciate it. I hate it when I have to get out of here early, guys, but unfortunately, duty calls. And that duty is WABC in New York. So if you guys want to switch on over there, I'll be on the air with Walter in just a few minutes' time. Paramarv has put the link in there. Thank you to everybody who's given us a thumbs up tonight. We greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think of this show. And that always helps our algorithms as well. Good night, everybody. Much love. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.